Because we can measure it.
I'm just listening.
But I'm saying, I'm not saying this is what I think happened. But I'm saying these are the kinds of ideas I have that stop me assuming that there must be an additional entity that caused it to happen. Because even then, if I add that additional entity, I still think about the time issue. Well, when did that entity begin creating the universe? Oh, hold on a second, time didn't exist yet. So I still have these problems that I'm wrestling with.
The singularity and whatever comes after the Big Bang, we have to agree that it is a materialistic material. It is material. It doesn't.
But there may have been some divine attribute about the singularity. We don't know.
We don't know. But the logic says, and the common sense says, that this universe started at some time in time, at some point in time.
I don't have a problem with that.
It started at time zero, and we knew that nothing cannot create something. And we know that.
That's why I'm only talking about the singularity, not about a state of nothing. I'm not even contemplating nothing because I can't conceive it.
This is exactly what I was talking to someone else, and we left it at it. So, is the singularity eternal? Did it exist ever before?
Why would I say no?
I'll tell you why. Because scientifically, it's the models or the way we know about Big Bang cosmology right now is that the universe is expanding. When we view through the our best telescopes. So but the point is that if something is expanding, therefore it had a point, it's a singularity, right? So pre this singularity, pre all this matter, what was there?
So why can't something of a fixed size begin to expand?
No, we have no problem with the expanding, but therefore if it's expanding,
why do you assume
it's finite.
It began as a singular. I understand that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we don't know the characteristics of the singularity.
Well, we know it's finite, so we know it's also contingent.
How do you know it's finite?
Because it expands. Something that's infinite cannot expand.
All we know is that the Big Bang proceeded from it.
No, we know that the universe is expanding, and therefore it's finite. We know that the singularity began at a specific point, therefore it's a contingent.
You cannot quantify what the singularity is. That's why they call it a singularity, because all the mathematics, all the physics breaks down when they try to describe it.
I have no problem with it. We don't even need to
everything
venture.
that came from after the Big Bang.
So do you see the fact that you're using beginning and forward? You're talking about something finite. Even material. We know material is finite. There was a point there was no material, right? So my point is that this finite contingent existence that we call all of the cosmos, all of materiality. Where did this what is this contingent thing contingent upon? You have to have an answer for that. Even atheists have answers for that.
But you're conflating finite with contingent.
Yeah, well, something that's finite is also contingent.
Okay, so can you describe what finite is with respect to the material universe?
Limited, something that's limited. Finite's anything that's limited.
So something that can occupy.
There was a point where materiality did not exist, correct?
Not occupy another space.
Just on this basic point, if there was a point where materiality did not exist, correct? You accept this? Before the singularity.
I would agree if you said there was a point at which materiality, as it is encompassed by our universe, didn't exist.
Not our universe, all of material.
Why? So you think there's only one universe?
No, many. There's universe. There's a lot of because we're talking about cosmos, the whole cosmos, not just our universe,
or
right?
Interdimensional.
No, not interdimensional. Just all of the cosmos, all of materiality, everything that came about from the singularity. Okay, all of this is finite. All of this is contingent because there was a point where it did not exist.
Is contingent on there only being one singularity.
Are you trying to propose there is more?
But why would I assume something without it?
We're not assuming it. We're saying scientific consensus right now suggests that there is a singularity, and there's nothing to suggest.
But that's to explain the origin of this universe.
No, that's to explain the origin of everything. They explain the origin of material.
Of this universe.
Of this universe. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right.
So do you have any other evidence to show that, for example, that we need to tackle some other kind of material existence other than this one? So let's focus on this one.
You're talking about like scientific consensus.
No, I'm trying to speak literally philosophically only. So if we're talking about just this finite material existence, okay, we need to have an explanation for this because this is a contingent existence. Okay, it could have been another way. It was another way.
Well, that's if you're like a determinist would argue against you in that respect. They would say it couldn't have been any other way.
Okay, are you a determinist?
No, I don't have a fixed position.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I forget what the determinist will say, because then if I'm in front of a determinist, I'll argue with the determinist. I'm saying you're not a determinist. You recognize that this is a contingent universe and it could have been another way.
So what are you if not a determinist?
I'm a compatibilist. Okay. Yeah. So, but that's the.
But there are refutations for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I could argue against those refutations. But that's not the point. You don't need to get into this. That's what I'm telling you. I'm like, just argue with me as the position that we're holding, which is what we both agree that this material existence is finite and contingent. We all agree here. So it needs an explanation outside itself.
So when you describe the singularity,
yes.
Are you considering that a material existence?
Yes.
What scientific explanation claims that there is something material, i.e. matter, within the singularity? How does that describe
matter? Well, I mean, just even philosophically speaking, something cannot give rise to something else it doesn't possess. So like something that is like, if you want to say to me that like there was the singularity was devoid of materiality and was able to bring about materiality, that's odd to me, and I ask you to prove how that would be possible.
No, I'm asking you whether when you consider the singularity, you consider it a material thing, that you consider it to have contained matter.
Yes, of course. It's building upon. It's matter where all matter and time sprouted out of. The singularity is everything we have today. Is this expanding thing from a singular point. So I'm telling you, it's not, I don't need to get into the science. That's why I'm not a scientist. You're not a scientist. He's not a scientist. Forget the science. We're gonna sound dumb talking science because we're just gonna be trying to quote as much as possible what we've read. However, we could just talk philosophically. We know it's contingent. We had a beginning. Okay, it had a beginning. It could have been another way. Therefore, it needs a cause outside itself. So now we could talk. Even if you want to tell me you don't believe this cause,
on this earlier.
Perfect. So let's stick to this.
It had a cause outside of itself.
Yes.
Could that cause exist outside of time?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
So when did the causation begin?
Just again, before we shift to that point, what's the issue with you have to now, forget talking to us, you have to, for explaining existence, you need to have some sort of explanation for existence. Why is there this? So that's all I'm saying to you.
I'm not
even if you don't want to say it's God, at least let's get to a necessary existence.
The reason why I'm resisting what you're saying is because we had a discussion where I asked, when did this causation begin? When did it occur?
Let me tell you, it's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
Because first, let's get to what is the thing that caused existence.
What do you mean? What's
the cause for the contingent?
The creator exists and the cause exists. Then we can talk about the how inside and tell you if this creator has revealed to us the mechanic of his creation or not. We can show you from the scripture.
Well, we're talking about. You say you want to approach it philosophically, i.e., you also want it, which includes logic.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm saying until I can have an explanation for how this. The thing is, it's built on somewhat of a presupposition in my mind, because I've been speaking with this gentleman.
Yeah, no worries. I am Muslim. Yes,
okay.
yes.
So there are also presuppositions in your position, though. However,
of course.
You're presenting yourself as someone who's just speaking pure philosophy.
No, I'm not. I'm using philosophical terms which are not pigeonholed to any specific group.
So I'm saying
it's a common grounds. You could understand philosophically what I mean by necessary existence, contingent existence, all these things.
I understand. So
I'm not using scriptural terms or something. So I'm saying, look, let's talk now because here's the thing. If you could accept,
I don't understand causation atemporally.
Okay, forget that, because if we just get you to accept at least that there's a necessary existence, you've moved that has some specific attributes.
I understand, for example, that an infinite regression means we'll never
have a present moment. Fantastic. Okay, great. So that's a great point. Okay, so then do you accept that there is a necessary existence that brought about contingent existences.
Again, I wouldn't challenge that position.
No, do you accept it? I don't mind if you don't challenge it. Do you accept that position as your position?
I mean, your problem, sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
accept it as it sounds logical.
Your situation is that you're trying to have two things. You're trying to give divine things to the singularity, and you're not trying to address if there is a cause to the singularity. So either you have to say either the singularity is eternal, or the cause itself.
It's been claimed that the singularity was material or matter. I'm saying I don't know of the science that describes it that way. I'm saying the singularity gave rise to the material, gave rise to matter. However, couldn't I just say, well, you also believe that non-contingent being gave rise to the singularity?
No, look, I'll tell you that a lot of, I mean, I'm assuming you're atheist or somewhat to that level?
If you were to describe
agnostic?
I lack the belief in any...
Yeah, you don't posit a lack of existence.
Any description I've encountered of the cause for reality, as in any description of God.
Yeah, so you lack the belief, you don't posit that God does not exist.
No.
There's a difference.
No,
so you're not a posit. Yeah, okay, cool. So what I'd say to you,
I feel God,
so you're an agnostic atheist.
God is somewhat intuitive to me.
Okay.
I don't buy any of the descriptions.
The logical. Okay, cool. So then all I'm telling you is, if you accept that an infinite regress is absurd because we have a president right now, therefore now I'm talking about your position, like what you adopt for yourself. Then you're now wrestling with what is this thing that brought about the existence that refutes the infinite regress that you already have said as an absurd thing. So now let's talk about whether this, because you already accept that there is some necessary existence. Okay, if this necessary existence has an attribute of omnipotence, then it has no problem. No, you don't need to assume it. If you could argue, I'm saying if you were able to now start from that position, that's what we're telling you. We don't need to get into causally temporal, all this stuff, because we just start talking about what kind of attributes this necessary existence could have, logically speaking.
I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be omnipotent.
No, that's fine. We're telling you, we're telling you that if we could show you that, then there's no issue
for. You could show me that it's omnipotent.
Yeah, we could show you that you could rationally reason that this necessary being is omnipotent, has will, has like some attributes we could find rationally for this being. Then there would be no issue to cause atemporally, anyways.
You know what I mean?
Okay, but I'm saying to go from
you're fixating on the cause of how the causation is happening rather than the necessary being in its attributes.
We agree that there is a being necessary for this contingent existence.
We do. So we're supposed to agree on this.
But I wouldn't then make the leap from that point to omnipotence.
That's fine.
That's a massive.
Would you make?
All the power it needs to explain the universe is enough power to create.
So let's say this: it has more power than anything that exists within materiality, at least, because it brought about everything, and we don't know anything that could bring about all of this.
If we assume that our material reality is the only material reality, then I would also assume that whatever caused it to exist is the most powerful thing. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. No, it's not. It's actually it's a reason. It's a reasoned observation that you're making.
I'm saying it's not unreasonable to believe.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a reason. So it's the opposite of.
I wouldn't make the assumption.
No, okay, but I'm saying not only is it reasonable, it's also you have nothing to the contrary to suggest that it wouldn't be the case. So like, why wouldn't you accept it? It's intuitive. It's also what's it called? It's also reasonable.
As my position, I'm saying why wouldn't
you accept it? Because it's intuitive and it's not unreasonable and it's reasonable. So why wouldn't you? And you have no reason to the contrary.
It's less unreasonable than saying that it could have created something more powerful than itself.
Okay, tell me how a necessary existence.
See, what you want to say is omnipotent, but I'm saying I don't assume it's omnipotent. Yes, if we agreed it was omnipotent, then yes, I would agree with you. It's necessary that it's the most powerful being that exists. But I'm saying I don't assume that it's omnipotent. It's only powerful enough to create the universe. However, based on my everyday experience, things that someone that creates something can create something stronger than himself.
Okay. So you're telling me. So all I'm trying to get us to do here is just focus on the necessary existence and make headway with that. Because
Another caveat I'd like to add.
Good.
I don't assume that the thing still exists. I don't assume that the universe continues to be dependent.
Oh no, here's the problem now. Because now, okay, this would be a problem because a necessary existence could not be any other way. Therefore, by definition, it is always existing. And the contingent existence.
But when we say necessary,
yes.
When I say necessary,
what do you mean by
necessary for the act of creation?
Oh, that's not what I mean at all. I mean necessary. Yes, we should definitely clarify terms.
Yes.
I mean necessary in the philosophical sense, and that something that is necessary could not have been another way. Does not rely on its
continues
existence.
to sustain reality.
Yes.
Why?
I mean, because the reality is contingent upon it.
Because dependency.
It's dependent.
If he comes on the picture.
See, I took a step towards you,
Yeah.
and I agreed for the sake of the
Yeah.
argument.
I want you to agree for your position. I don't like arguments for no reason. You know what I mean?
Because there's no. I'll tell you why. Because I tend less to lean towards like this kind of tribal mentality where I'm like, okay, I've planted my flag
No,
here.
this is not tribal. This is just how.
It's only intellectually honest position.
Yeah, I understand that. It's completely fine.
To be open to.
Yeah, but you could move your position. Like, look, you could come to when you come to certain conclusions that intellectually, like we're talking about intellectually honest. So intellectually honest thing is to accept them until you've a good reason to reject them. So if you should hold them not for the sake of argument. You should hold them because you think that they're reasonable positions.
No, I don't have as in when I say accept, I mean I don't have a reason to reject it out.
No, but you should also accept it as something that you hold as the position that is true. That's what I'm saying. Unless you have good reason.
I haven't reached that level of confidence.
Okay, let's discuss it. maybe you will. But the point that we just veered off the caveat. So let's talk about the necessary existence, right? So
I'd like to know why you assume that the universe continues to be dependent on it. What evidence do you have?
I'm telling you, the fact that the necessary, what's it called? Let's define the term necessary. So necessary is something that is necessary.
So why is it necessary for the continued sustenance of the universe and not only for its genesis?
Because it's not what's it called, something that's contingent is always contingent. That's the point. Like it doesn't switch to being a necessary thing after past being.
I mean past contingent. If you want to say the Big Bang.
Like for example, are you
contingent
as you grow from the time of your inception to now? Have what's it called? Are you still made up of contingent matter? You are.
Of course.
Exactly. So you'll always stay contingent.
We're not talking about me.
No, but we're talking about everything that's like you, that's made up of matter.
So again, I'll say, for the purposes of this argument, I know you hate that. We agree that because we started off talking about the singularity, how the singularity went to the Big Bang, and I conceded that process may have been contingent on an incontingent existence. But I'm saying now we're 14 point whatever billion years later. Why do we assume that continues to play a role?
Because everything in this 14 billion years is still as contingent as everything else.
But why is it that 14 point whatever billion years ago, everything that was required to sustain the universe was not subsumed into the universe itself?
What do you mean by that?
As in, why would we not assume that the universe was given everything that it needs to sustain itself for however long the universe is going to last?
That's still sustaining itself. That's if it was given up front or as it goes. It's still contingent always. That's the point.
No, so my point is this. I have parents who sustain me, but when they die, they may leave me something that may continue to sustain me, but they no longer exist.
Yeah, I mean...
So I'm saying, why would we assume...
They would still exist actually in materially speaking. So they're just...
you understand the point I make.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, why would I assume... Because you use my everyday experience.
But you know what the thing... What does exist? What does exist is their sustenance. So there's still...
Not necessarily them as a being.
But there's still... Okay, but I'm saying... but I'm saying the necessary existence exists necessarily always. No, not because the sustaining...
sustenance exists.
No, not sustenance. No. The being... Okay, by definition, what is it? This is why I tell you need to just do the terms. What is necessary
So I'm saying
existence?
the energy contained within the universe is the sustenance to which I'm referring.
That's all contingent still.
I know, but what I'm saying is its existence, as in what caused it to exist, maybe an incontingent being.
A necessary being.
Sorry, necessary being. Now that it's come into existence and can neither be created nor destroyed within that closed system, what is the use for that necessary being?
Because everything in this closed system is dependent, and everything in this closed system is contingent. Whether that's not nor here nor there. That's depends on what your position is. But I'm trying to tell you that regardless.
Let's agree that something we call God existed at the beginning of the universe and then ceased to exist.
No, that's why we can never agree on that. You know why? Because even if
without
not even
of
no exactly, of course, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, even if you want to say putting our religious suppositions aside, just by the definition of what a necessary existence, it could never cease to exist. That's the point.
One of the attributes of God is the
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're saying outside of your religious presuppositions.
Which is correct.
I'm assuming
that's our position. And Allah is Hayy al-Qayyum. He's saying, without our religious position, can we still say that Allah is always existing? Which we can.
Can you say that it must necessarily be?
Yeah, of course. Because
he couldn't have. I get that it's.
You couldn't be any other way.
Exactly.
No, but I get that it's a very difficult proposition for you to accept.
Oh no! It's not about difficult to accept. I'm telling you that definitionally, it cannot be the case. A necessary existence, by definition, is something that could never cease to exist.
I'm saying that for a contingent existence to exist, if we assume that a necessary existence must have set that in motion, why would we also assume that a necessary existence must continue to sustain it?
Why not?
Okay.
No, I'm just asking. First, I want to know philosophically if there is a necessity.
So you're asking two things. You know that though. The first thing you're asking is why can't something cause something and then cease to exist? That was your first question. The answer to that is what? Is that
cease to exist or cease to intervene or cease to support actively?
No. There's so many different questions now because we have to focus on which ones.
You believe that all of them are true in the positive?
No.
You believe it continues to exist, continues to support?
Okay. Now you're obviously not doing it on purpose, but this is now shotgunning because I don't know which question to focus on. So the cease to exist is the important one for your position. Okay. The reason why is because a necessary existence definitionally must exist in all possible worlds. If we're talking philosophically, all possible at all time, it can never cease to exist. So that's why you could never have a necessary existence that just creates and ceases to exist.
But again, just to confirm,
that's without my religious.
I agreed that the necessary, because the whole argument was, can something come from nothing? Right. That was like the basis of
which we all agree is that we cannot.
Once something has come,
yes.
Why do we need this thing that caused it to come to continue to exist?
Okay, so now are you shifting now from the ceasing to exist for the necessary being?
So let's continue with that.
So let's continue. So the reason is
what about reality requires a continual sustenance?
Okay,
what characteristics does our universe have that require continued sustenance?
Sure. I mean the laws that didn't exist before. The laws that make our universe. No. But once, what do you mean by once they've been established? They need, first of all, okay. You know what the problem with this is that I think we're shifting. No. I think we're just shifting from the important stuff, and we're trying to get into the stuff that's more ambiguous.
No, I think this is incredibly important.
No.
Because I'm saying I've already agreed. Saying, yes, there was a necessary existence that
never ceases to exist.
The universe.
That never ceases to exist.
I'm saying it feels contrary to my everyday experience that it continues to play a role.
Okay, if you can see that there is a necessary being to this universe, can we now start defining what's the attribute of this necessary being?
I want answers to my questions first.
Based on what he did in terms of what's the cause of the universe. So let's state and define the attribute of this necessary being.
Well, I think we discussed it to some degree. We said that at the very minimum, it must have the power to create a universe like the one we have.
Maximally power?
More powerful.
I also argued that it may have been able to create something more powerful than it.
No, that's I mean this it has been refused so many times.
Why?
Because when we define this
Because you have a very fixed definition of what that being must be.
this necessary being is all powerful.
No, I don't agree with that.
No.
What is there? What exists that it infers to you that it must be all powerful?
Because you look at the sun, look at the celestial body, look at the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
All these need power.
Okay, but what if there were 10 times as many suns?
Yeah. But this is the most.
Why, I'm saying we don't have any evidence that it can create a universe with more energy than the universe we have. The universe has a finite amount of energy, so all we can infer from that, if we agree that something caused it, is that whatever caused it had enough power to create that much energy.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
So I'm saying, why would I then assume that it could create more energy?
Why do we need to assume?
Well, you're saying all powerful, maximally powerful.
Yes.
I'm saying it would have had to create, for me to assume that, it would have had to have created the maximally powerful or maximally energetic universe. But then I wouldn't be here to discuss it with you anyway, I suppose.
So what is the most powerful if we don't attribute it to someone who creates from nothing, creates, arrange molecules in the different shapes of form and create life the way we can see it now. So what is
That is
powerful?
as all powerful as you could get. How could you? The fact that you could bring.
What if it could create something that could defeat it?
Oh, so now, okay, so we know the answer to this. It's like the typical, what's it called? Can God create a rock that's too heavy? It cannot.
On the assumption that God is omnipotent.
No, not even. Just no. I understand. So I'm telling you, but we're saying it's very clear that God is omnipotent. Why? Because if God is able to create materiality from nothing, this is as all powerful as it could get. Give me something that's more powerful than that.
Well, that's an assumption that it created from nothing.
No, son.
Well, if this
The necessary existence created. There was a point where there was no materiality, and materiality still came about. So
it still goes back.
I think that you can't give us a better. I think that you could not give us something that's more all-powerful than that. So I think you should at least accept it provisionally. And then when you do that, you come to the proposition: well, can God create something that could defeat itself?
No.
And
So, for example, okay, when I look at the universe, for example, I see huge, or as far as the way the universe is described by cosmologists, it's vast expanses of nothing, like vast expanses of emptiness.
No, I reject that.
As in, i.e., where life is concerned.
I reject that.
As in, only a very small amount of the universe supports life.
Oh, I mean, that's completely different than saying that the universe is full of nothing. It's a contradictory statement. Nothing, philosophically, is the absence of everything. And it's something that's only conceptual, does not exist in reality.
As in vast expanses of space.
That space is not nothing. The quantum fluctuations are not nothing. Yeah, so...
What I mean is, in the scope of the universe, it appears that a very small proportion of it supports life.
Yeah, that only supports our position more, because you'd have to give an explanation as to why. You know, there's a philosopher, I think it's Van Inwagen, who puts forth this thing. It's basically the objection of why do we need an explanation for this odd fact that we have this life on the universe when literally everywhere else the probabilities are astronomically small. Let me tell you what the analogy that he gives in.
That there's other life.
The fact that we did get life in one place and everywhere else did not. And the fact that there even is.
You're mischaracterizing my position.
Go on.
I'm not saying there's no life.
Then?
I'm not saying there's no other life.
Yeah.
I'm saying the proportion of the universe that can support life.
Yes, it's very small. Exactly.
But the chances that there is no other life is almost zero.
Okay, so listen to me. That's the point. So I'm telling you, you have to have an explanation for this. And the point is you don't, we do. Even if you want to disagree, if you want to say, I don't agree with the explanation. However, you still need to have your own explanation.
Do you believe that there's other life in the cosmos?
It's irrelevant to my position.
I'm just asking you a question.
No, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. swear to you, I don't know.
So when
Right, as far as my position today, as far as I know today, is that cosmologists agree and philosophers agree that there is our universe is incredibly unique, astronomically unique, and this uniqueness cries out. Philosophers describe it as cries out for an explanation. Now, why is this the case? Imagine you were in this scenario. Imagine this. I'll explain to you. So imagine this situation. You are in front of a firing squad. You're in front of a wall, and 100 of the best shooters in the world line up their snipers, and they all line up to shoot you. You hear the bangs go off. You think you're dead. You open your eyes. All of them miss.
You're giving me some probability.
You would no. So the fact that you're alive, you would not say, "Oh, what's it called?" Just because if they didn't miss, I wouldn't be here to explain it. Therefore, you don't need to explain it. No, you'd say, "How this needs an explanation." It cries. This is something that cries out for explanation. So Van den Wagen described this as the objection that you were talking about earlier, which is like just because we're here, therefore, like if we weren't here, we wouldn't need to explain life. This is described by him as one of the worst objections in all of philosophy. We need to explain this incredibly unique thing that is the fact that we have life here and nowhere else. So it's a very I'm adding it.
I'm making the claim that there's life nowhere else.
No. I'm saying to our knowledge, and you just said scientists say that what's it called? We don't know. We can't see any life anywhere else except here.
No,
it's a very small.
The claim is that the chances that there is no other life in the universe are almost zero.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. No. What do you mean?
Certainty that there is life elsewhere.
No, I'm telling you, from our knowledge, we don't know of anywhere else that can sustain life in the way the Earth does. That's the truth.
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
No, that's fine. But we're only working off of what we're working with. So we have to go with the body of data that we have.
No, I wouldn't say that. Well, I can't see that horizon. Therefore, I assume there's nothing.
But that's not what we're doing. We're not going off of the horizon. We're going off of.
Yeah, we are going exactly.
Do you use scientific data? Why do you use it? Because there'll always be a growing data, and there'll always be more things to find.
But so you give one philosopher who says that the chances.
No, it's not a philosopher. I'm saying scientists.
What was the quotation you gave?
Oh, the fact. Which one? About the analogy?
Yeah, the analogy. Okay.
Well, the analogy is that the fact that the fine tuning or the conditions that allow for life to exist are astronomically small and unlikely to have happened. And this unlikely scenario having happened.
Theory,
yeah, and they're let's not even go there. They're not. They're useless.
What was useless about it?
To try to substantiate it. It's not your position. That's what I'm saying. Don't go down the route.
No, none of these things are my position.
Yeah,
I'm saying there are lots of theories. There are lots of ideas,
but they're not good theories. Multiverse.
Explain why it's not.
Even on the multiverse theory, what's it called?
Every possible reality exists.
It's okay. So substantiate this.
No, so
why should
my understanding is that the multiverse theory suggests that every possible reality exists.
Okay, I'm asking you. This is a claim. Let's subtract. Okay, why should I refute it? So there's nothing substantiated.
So what I mean is this idea of the fine tuning and
no, fine tuning is accepted regardless.
No, I understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What I'm saying is it's a phenomenal idea if you assume that there is only one reality, only one universe. But if you were to take the step further and entertain the idea of the multiverse, then you would say there's lots of types of fine tuning. These possible realities.
There's a response to this. I think it's called the inverse gambler's fallacy. I think that's what it's called. You could look up Van den Wagen's paper. You could look up the other philosophers who wrote on fine tuning. They tackle this because that's why I told you let's not go down this route because fine tuning has been tackled the multiverse has been tackled many times as a response to fine tuning.
You're saying that there are no preeminent physicists who entertain the idea?
No. I'm saying because multiverse is not a popular idea between physicists. No, it's not.
I mean, it gets a lot of airtime.
It gets airtime because it's, to be honest with you, it's woo. As in, it gets clicks. It gets people, like, it's entertaining. It's basically like what most of sci-fi movies nowadays base their plots on. That's why it's entertainment. It's not really a respected theory in comparison to what we argue on today, which is the fact that we have an instance of fine-tuning that is what's it called, that cries out for an explanation, and the question is,
see, the thing is, I don't know why you'd push against the multiverse theory when couldn't you also then claim that it is an example of how much more powerful your God is?
No, I'm not interested in going down this route because I have no reason to say. I would have no reason.
In fact, a God that
I'm not going against or anything. All I'm telling you is I have no reason to believe it.
I'm saying a God that created a multiverse, all possible realities, would be more powerful than the one that created only one.
No, who said that? Who said? That's what I'm saying. Who said that God created only our universe?
No, you seem to be rejecting.
No. I'm saying I have no good reason to believe it. Yeah.
But I've given several instances where I've said I have no good reason to believe that.
I have no good reason to
believe our universe suggests that what created it is omnipotent.
No, but I told you that the reason why you should think that it is omnipotent. The thing is omnipotent. Why? Because we just told you, give us something that's more omnipotent than, or more.
But you see, the question you're asking is nonsensical.
Why?
Give me something that's more omnipotent.
Give me something that is more powerful.
More potent.
Give me something that's more powerful.
Means
no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Give me something that could be more powerful.
It's the most powerful thing we know of
that could exist.
No, I'm saying I would agree if you said.
Okay, provisionally, let's go with this. Provisionally, let's go with this.
I would agree with you if you said it must be the most powerful thing we know of.
No problem. Provisionally, let's go with this.
Why do you take the leap to omnipotence?
No, let's provisionally go with this.
Do you think it's intellectually dishonest of me if I say it's only the most powerful thing we can know of, not necessarily omnipotent?
I think that attributes of the necessary being, you could only know so many things with philosophy alone. You need revelation.
Okay, so
completely agree. But that's why I told you.
You entered this conversation by saying no. Let's have a philosophical.
No. I didn't say that. No, I said we'll build that because you're coming from just strictly talking about science and philosophy. However, we told you we're Muslims, so we don't. Our view is not based on philosophy. Our view is based on Quran and Sunnah. However, our view is cogent. No. Because we're talking about science and we're talking. What's it called? Why would I bring in? We're talking about cosmology and things. This is different. So I'm telling you now, if you want to go into every attribute we believe about God, we would bring in revelation as well.
The infusion of the idea or the word omnipotence is outside of the scope of your philosophical argument.
No, I don't accept that. I'm telling you, we could reason why God is the omnipotent, is an omnipotent being. We could reason why He's.
So do that.
I just told you the fact that there's nothing more powerful.
That's a completely different argument.
Why is it different?
Nothing more powerful.
That's what I'm saying. It is the all-powerful.
No, that's all-powerful and most powerful.
It's not most. It's literally there's nothing more powerful. Therefore, it is the.
There's nothing more powerful. No, nothing possibly more powerful.
Yeah, there's nothing more possibly powerful. Yes, that's the point. There's nothing more possibly powerful.
Okay, again, that in itself is not omnipotence.
It is.
No, to have all power and to have the most power are two different things.
Omnipotence is.
You may argue that that's semantics, but it's an incredibly important.
Going back to the point about that's fine.
Do we agree on that?
What?
Most powerful does not equal all powerful.
There's debates about that.
There's the infusion of.
There's debates. No. There's debates about that even in philosophy for religion side. That's what I'm telling you. Let's not get. In my understanding, what's it called? I believe that you could derive some attributes of God strictly through reason and naturally, like the way he said, you could look at just looking at creation. Then there's attributes like, for example, you could never derive all merciful without revelation. For example,
but when we're talking about power,
yes,
I'm saying from what we understand about the universe, we can infer that if something created it only needs to be as powerful.
No, it's more powerful, at least. At least.
As what? No, I'm saying it only needs to be
merciful. Merciful.
Somebody could say you can't. That's the point. You get all merciful.
Because when He created the sun and the earth,
it's not considered all merciful in Islam, is it?
Sorry?
Allah is not considered all merciful. It's considered most powerful. merciful.
Al-Qawi means is the most.
Right. So okay. So
No, he's asking about mercy.
I'm sorry if we divert a little.
No, let's one second. Let's stick, because now we're moving so many places.
I know, but I don't,
go
I
back
don't
to
want it
this.
to be like an
Go back to this.
adversarial thing.
No,
I
it's
want
not.
to be more conversational.
It's not. But just listen to this now. Because I want to go back to, because the whole point of the conversation is to get headway.
I'm sorry, but yeah, what's happened is
Sorry.
It's a crime scene.
Yeah, we're just in the middle of a conversation, so like no worries. Apologies, brother. Yeah. Just speaking smart.
We're gonna move on to
No worries. We good. Yeah, we'll move on. But however, all I'm trying to leave you with is what you independent. Forget us. You have to have an explanation for why there is existence.
Right.
This is something that cries out for existence. Why existence? Why is there something rather than nothing? This you need to have an explanation for. If you get to necessary existence, now you could move to what possible attributes this necessary existence could have, and then you could get to what possible attributes that this thing could have, but you could not know about unless this thing could communicate with us. That's what I'm saying.
Give an example.
I'll give you an example. So for example, like there are attributes like we just talked about. Like you could infer maybe omnipotence, what's it called, or you could all powerfulness and etc. from what's it called, talking about reason, etc. However, maybe some things about mercy, some things about justness, all these other things, you might need to have theological discussions or revelation involved and stuff like that. So the point is, there are these. You would reach a level of conclusion with the necessary existence that then would have you at least curious now, because we just agreed that the necessary existence is always existing, does not cease to exist. Now, did this?
No, we didn't agree that.
Yeah, we have to agree because that's definitionally. Unless we just simply do not.
It's only definitional based on the origin of the universe. That's the only part of it.
No. It has to always exist. It can never cease to exist. I'm telling you, because the necessary
I gave
existence.
you the example of my parents, and then they.
No, but your parents are contingent. They're not necessary, bro.
I know, but
that's the problem.
But you've also given analogies.
But
no analogy is going to be perfect.
That's fine. I don't need an analogy. That's not the reason that there's an issue. I didn't say your analogy is problematic because it's an analogy. I said it's this analogy. I said you're comparing a contingent thing with a necessary thing. It's problematic. You can't do that.
Well, how would I create an analogy for a necessary thing?
You'd have to talk about necessary existences.
Okay, so I'm saying I'm saying when I consider a necessary being, because this all started with the Big Bang.
Sure.
This conversation.
And that's also a contingent thing as well.
This conversation started with the Big Bang. I'm
Yes.
saying that the motivation for the Big Bang required a necessary being. I don't understand what about the remainder of that
See, you're missing. So you see, you're missing my point then, because that's not the point. That's not my point. My point is what you need to accept this point just definitionally, which is what if there's a necessary existence, it cannot cease to exist. That's the point that I'm trying to get you to accept. You have to accept this if you think there's something necessary.
I would be prepared to concede that the motivation for the Big Bang was contingent on a necessary being, but I don't know. You haven't given me a logical argument as to why that necessary being, as in for why the being necessary for the motivation of the Big Bang is also necessary for the continued sustenance of the universe.
Because
if we assume that necessary being infused the universe with all the sustenance.
Think about it as a set. Think about it as a set. Everything contingent is a set of contingent things. Everything in that contingent set requires explanation. Everything.
I'm saying that
so all the progressions that you're talking about, all of them require explanations, and they cannot be explained within other contingent things. Therefore, they all require explanation outside the contingent set, which is the necessary existence.
I'm saying that, for example, how we explain today.
Yes.
Today is contingent on the past, and at some point in the past, that necessary being set in play.
No. It's not contingent on you're not contingent on your parents.
Logical argument for why that necessary being.
I'm telling you the logic. The fact that there is a present now, right now, this is a contingent instant, and everything this material is all contingent, and thus is all contingent upon something that's outside the contingent set. You cannot have something contingent on something else that's contingent. You need it to be outside inside the set, and
I'm saying
therefore
that the beginning,
everything.
the start of it was contingent on the necessary being. But I'm saying,
Yeah, but everything else after that is
why does this
contingent.
point-
I'm telling you why, because the first. No, he's not. So
kind of no fix to the rest.
It looks like
so the point is that it's not because the first instance is not the only contingent thing. If everything since the first instant is contingent, all of it is part of the contingent set. All of it needs an explanation.
I mean, I would just look at it like temporally. Why would the last part just not be contingent on all the parts before?
Because contingent things cannot be just contingent on other contingent things. It's problematic.
I'm saying that the start point, the genus, the genesis point was contingent.
Yeah, so then the
on necessary
contingencies-
being. But
yeah.
why is the continuation of that?
Yeah,
series
so they're like
still
pseudo
contingent?
contingencies. They're not real contingencies then. They're just because everything is actually, so they're not actually contingent on other contingent things. They're all contingent on the necessary thing. In reality, in actuality, they're actually all contingent on the necessary
I don't
thing.
know.
But his position presupposes a start point.
No, forget.
It's built in. The idea, because he's talking infinite regress.
Let's end it here.
No, I'm saying we've agreed.
Yeah, let's end it here.
deal-
I didn't realize you were on.
Let's end it here. So the point is that I just need you to, if we're just gonna agree here that if all those contingencies that you're talking about, they're not actual contingencies, they're pseudo contingencies.
You're just saying that.
No, I'm telling you, I'm
don't-
proving
you
it to you.
haven't given an argument
I
as
just
to why.
gave. If they're all contingent, they all require
I'm
explanation.
saying contingent on something happening in the past.
Okay, but-
you're insisting that the present, where we are today, is contingent on an ongoing existence of a necessary being.
Because
I'm
it's
saying I only
contingent.
concede that where we are today is contingent on a set of events being set in motion by a necessary being, not necessarily by its ongoing existence.
No, but I was just trying to argue with you what
do you see
that
the
the
problem?
necessary. No, I think there is no problem. I think we just need to agree on the things.
disagree.
No, we can because you're We're talking past each other a bit. All I'm trying to get you to agree is what? Two things. The first thing is necessary existences cannot cease to exist. Correct?
No.
Okay, so then I can't believe after all of this you're still saying no. A necessary existence by definition could never cease to exist.
Because we haven't agreed what the contingency is. I.e., I'm saying the Big Bang. I'm conceding that the Big Bang may have been contingent on a necessary being. I'm not conceding necessarily that the ongoing.
Do you not see that
ongoing process
that
is
first?
contingent?
If you like this first point has nothing to do with the Big Bang. All I'm telling you, can necessary existences cease to exist? They're necessary.
I'm
That's the
saying
point. Is
if
they
I
exist in
assume
all
that
possible
there is a
worlds.
necessary, no. I don't think that. I think we're just getting. We're kind of missing definitions here. So you're saying
That's what I'm trying to focus on today.
I'm saying that yes. I would concede that the beginning of the process from the Big Bang onwards, as in what started the process, required a necessary being. But I don't see what about the definition of that necessary being continues on throughout.
I'm telling you, the fact
saying it
that
was necessary
everything within the set of all contingent things is contingent, it has to be contingent on something necessary because it's contingent. It's contingent on what?
Eternally in the future.
Yeah, everything that's coming about that's contingent. Everything all requires an explanation, and it can't be on other
I'm saying
contingent
the
things.
explanation is what happened before and what happened before until we get back to when
Yeah,
the
so those are.
necessary being
So that's what I'm telling
set
you.
it
Those
in
are all
motion.
superficial because they're not real contingencies. They're not.
They're all contingent on a previous.
So like the fact that if you want to say that you're
before.
contingent on your parents, that's superficial. That's what I'm trying to tell you is because all of you are contingent and all of you are contingent upon a necessary thing. That's the real contingency.
The argument you've given deals with the issue of infinite regress, right?
No.
It deals with what started everything.
No, not necessarily this point. Yes, we agree that we
Deals
can have
with
it. Yes.
what started everything. But I'm saying what is inherent in that argument that says that it continues to sustain everything.
Because go on.
Just because you're using the word necessary, I'm saying it was necessary at that point.
No,
You're saying
it's always because the point
Why?
do contingent things still exist?
Yes.
Okay, therefore they still
necessary being having started it all.
no, they're contingent on the necessary being. Period. That's
Why?
the point.
Why?
If something is contingent on something else and something else is contingent on something else
Yes.
until we reach the necessary being, then when we say contingent is dependent, it means that if the first one is removed, then the next one ceases to exist.
I'm saying that it was necessary
Cease to exist.
at a snapshot. But I'm saying once everything was set in motion, it was no longer necessary.
No, you
Bro, look,
can't.
I
I
think
know you believe that it
No, no,
cannot
no.
change its nature. You believe that.
No, I don't. It's just literally what necessary thing is something that could not be any other way, and something that never ceases to exist. It exists in all possible worlds. That's what a necessary thing is. So that's philosophically like morally speaking, that's the definition for what a necessary thing is. It's not a Muslim definition. It's literally what the
No,
term
because
necessary existence is.
built into that definition of a necessary being, you also infer that it's omnipotent.
No,
I'm saying
we didn't even get there. We didn't even get there. I'm saying you just need to
I'm
accept
saying-
that because it's literally
I'm saying
definitionally.
your argument that it must always exist is coloured by your belief that it is omnipotent.
Oh no, it's
I'm
literally
saying
not.
if
It's not
omnipotent.
No,
Why must it always exist?
because it is necessary. That's the point. It has nothing to do with
It's
omnipotence.
necessary to the start. of the
No,
chain.
that's what I mean, bro. Necessary does not mean it's necessary to cause. That's not what it means. It has nothing to do with if there was no chain, if there was never any contingent things, necessary existence would still mean it just it exists in all possible universes, always exists, does not cease to
we just
exist.
disagree on the definition.
No, but there's nothing to disagree about because this is what the term
I
means.
agree it's necessary, but I don't agree that it's still necessary.
So you're talking about you agree it's necessary to cause.
It's necessary as an explanation. It's
Yeah.
necessary
I'm
for
telling you, it's
sustenance.
the ontology of it. I'm giving you like the type of existence it is necessary. Therefore, it always exists, and it's because it's necessary, and because there's a contingent things always. This contingent set of things requires constantly to be explained by a necessary thing.
I think
So
but I think
let's leave it
once-
there, and
once-
then don't take my word for it. Go look at the definitions for necessary existence,
Sure.
and inshallah in the future we could have further
I
conversations.
appreciate the time you've taken
Sounds
to
good.
explain those things. Thank
Inshallah.
you very much.
No worries. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah. What's
Let's chat it.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
That's no. Next week we're done for this week. I'm chatted up.